Okay, moving along in our progression, the next point of discussion is our zone fires, which is we describe a zone fire as a 5-man pressure where we're not dropping a defensive end or any lineman for that sake. It's a 3 under, 3 deep coverage. A lot of times when we utilize zone fires, we're looking to attack certain tendencies in an opponent, either in the run game or in protection in the pass game, certainly looking at some matchups. But the first zone fire, we have several different zone fires. The first zone fire that I'm going to talk to you about is what we call bash. And the hand signal for bash is simply just bashing a fist into our hand. And again, knowing with the understanding that we make tight frontage calls, bash is coming, it's a blitz coming from the strong side or to the tight call side. Okay, so 5-man pressure to the call side, to the strength call. And I have several different pictures of several fronts up here that are most prevalent with what we see throughout the year, as well as we'll get to some tape here. But starting here up at the top left-hand picture, we have a 21 personnel formation, slot formation. We have our defensive end, again, knowing that we're aligned to the tight end. We have a left call in this picture with a 9 technique, a 3 to the strong side, 1 and a 5 backside. The only 2 people that this blitz affects are the tackle to the call side and the end to the call side. To end to the call side, you're going to spark your next adjacent gap. And I will talk to you how this changes versus from a 2-man surface to a 3-man surface. So we're focusing on a 3-man surface, tight end on the football in this top left picture. Defensive end, you're sparking into the C gap. Our outside linebacker that's blitzing now becomes the D gap player, crash course quarterback player. As a defensive end, you now become the dive player. So teams now that are running zone read stuff, don't stop. If nobody wants to frickin' block you, you take the dive. You run and you tackle the dive player. So you're sparking your next adjacent gap. And our spark technique, for another clinic, but understand when we watch some of the tape here, you'll see some breakdowns in our technique and how it's taught. You know, it's being taught properly, but you guys really have to emphasize a great horizontal step, a great vertical step, and ripping your club and grabbing grass and overemphasizing that, getting it through to bring your momentum where? Back up field. If you have to cheat your alignment as a defensive end, tighten it. I know we're in a 9 technique, 2 feet outside, but if you can't get to the C gap from your alignment, then you have to tighten it down. Nothing else changes for the other defensive linemen in this picture. We're still responsible for our B gap, A gap weak, and weak side, C gap here to the weak side. So it only affects the defensive end in this picture with the 3-man surface. Moving to the top picture here, where we have a double tight end set. Same thing. It only affects the defensive end to the call side, where the blitz is coming from. The defensive end is now responsible for the C gap. If you want to line up in C gap and play the C gap, by all means, play the C gap. You can be innovative. But your job is to spark the next adjacent gap. You're the dive player. Tackle to the call side is the B gap player. Tackle away. In this picture, double tight with an eye and a heavy A gap player, C gap player. Moving along to picture number 2 here. Moving down towards the bottom. We have a pro trips formation, 3x1, 11 personnel. Where our defensive end is in a heavy check, so you're already aligned in the gap that you have to spark to. If you want to line up in a 9 and spark there, by all means, but understand that you have to be in the C gap because we have a crash course blitzer coming to the D gap who's playing the quarterback. So everybody lays their gap up front, no changes, with the understanding that the blitz is coming from where the call or the front is being set. It's a tight frontage call, it's a tight blitz to the strong side. Moving to the next picture, 2x2 formation, ace pro, 11 personnel, tight ends on the football. Same as before, with our 9 technique to the call side, you're sparking your next adjacent gap. If you get a heavy call and you line in the gap, play your gap. Doesn't change anything for anybody here. 3 technique, the 1 technique, or the 5 technique backside. Everybody's playing their gaps. Now, as we move to the bottom here, you're going to see some pictures that are defined as 2-man surfaces. So when we define a 2-man surface, that means there are 2 linemen to the right or to the left of the center. If the tight end wants to come off the football, that's still a two-man surface. If he's on the football, we define that up front as a three-man surface. So you see, based on alignment here, even if we put this wing out here, we're still lined up in our loose or our five technique. We want to tighten it up a little bit. But to the call side of this picture, there's no tight ends. It's a loose trips formation with the call set away from the trips. So if I'm the defensive end, to the call side, where the strength is being set and the blitz is coming from that side, and now my job is to spark into B gap, and I have a tackle aligned in B gap, and he's playing B gap. I have to communicate to this defensive tackle what we term as a quads call. So that quads call is going to tell the tackle that's lined up in your gap that he has to spark his next adjacent gap. So you see how we have all the gaps covered. We have C, B, and A covered. We have a crash course blitzer who's responsible for quarterback and the option. We have a defensive end who's responsible for dive. We get a lot of inside zone off of this particular picture and say this tackle steps down, you work right off of his ass and you take the dive player. Don't stop. And then we go to the next picture here. Ace loose, 2x2 formation, no tight end. Okay, we see strength call here saying to the field. So it's a right call, defensive end. In a five technique, you have to spark your next adjacent gap, which is the B gap. Oh boy, we have a tackle aligned in B gap. So our call to that tackle has to be a quads call. There's communication there. If he doesn't get it, he doesn't know to get out of his gap, and then we look like the Keystone Cops, and we have two guys in a gap. So we have all the gaps covered here, A gap weak, B gap weak. So if you're to the strong side, you have to understand how this blitz affects you. The weak side, you just align and play your gap and play football. Very simple stuff. Now as we look at some of the tape here. So first picture is what we saw drawn up on the clip before. This is 21 personnel, 2 backs, 1 tight end. Tight end on the ball. Here's a 3-man surface. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 to the left of the center. So defensive end, tighten your alignment down. There's too much space in there. Even though we're on an angle, it becomes very hard. If you have to square yourself up, the horizontal, vertical, and get through the C gap, that's where we have to be. So we're too wide out here to start, we're too angled. So cut your alignment down. You have to be able to cheat to give yourself success. As we see this play develop, here's where we're wrong. Here's a mistake. Again, coming from the call side, since we're a tight frontage call team, this defensive end has got to spark into C gap. The blitz doesn't affect anybody else because it's a 3-man surface to the call side. So the tackles play in the B gap, weak side tackles play in the A gap, 5 technique backside, you're still a skill player in the play. So you see how we have 2 guys in a gap, and again, we look like the Keystone Cops in this picture. So there's an MA. As you see this play develop, even though, yes, we have a safety coming downhill and he's replacing the defensive end, that is your gap and that's your play to make. Too much. That's an MA. Now this picture, 2x2 formation, Ace pro, believe, we'll go to the tight. Now pro trips. Okay, so 3-man surface with the tight end on the football. Yes, we could get, as I showed you earlier, we could get a heavy check, but the understanding, if you're in a heavy, you're still playing a C gap, so yeah, you can spark to the C gap. There's part of being innovative and knowing what you're doing and where you have to be, that yeah, sometimes you can cheat the drill a little bit. So no call to the defensive tackle. He's playing B gap, weak side tackles A gap, weak side defensive end is the B gap player. So you see, this is pretty good. We have a good horizontal. We've tightened the alignment down. We squared up a little bit. Good horizontal step, good vertical step, club, rip, and there we are. We're the dive player. Outside linebacker has quarterback. He's a crash course blitzer. Outside shoulder of the quarterback, blitzing. We have a roll down safety for pitch. But that's how it should look. The difference between clip 1 and clip 2 is you see when you're doing what's being taught to you, plays will come to you. Picture number 2 is a double tight end set. Ace tight. So we see it from the tight, we should have a right call. Blitz is coming here from the field or to the side of the call. Tight front is called. So defensive end, tighten your alignment down. Your job is to spark in the C gap. Defensive tackle, you play B gap. We have an I check backside, 2I defensive tackle, A gap responsibility. We have a heavy check backside, which puts the defensive end in the 6I. He's a little bit too loose to the tackle playing the C gap. See the picture develop. Again, pretty decent job here by the DM, bringing the flipper, bringing the club with some bottling things up. There's our blitzer. So it's done right. We make plays when things are done right. Next formation is 20 personnel, strong loose, 2 backs, no tight end. And we will see it here from the tight. Get a blitzer. So defensive end, not bad. Our alignment, we've tightened it down because we know we have to get in the B gap. So here's a picture, 2-man surface. 1, 2, to the right of center, no tight end. My call to the defensive tackle, to the strong side, is quads. Why? Because I'm sparking to the gap. Defensive tackle is aligned in that gap. It doesn't make sense to have two hats in a gap. You got to get him out. Make the quads call, he goes to A gap. See if it happens. It does, great. Now, just keep going. Just keep going. You're the dive player. Keep going. That should be a sweep the ankle tackle in the backfield. No hesitation. Tackle steps down, you come hard. You're a dive player, quarterback player outside with the blitzer. So too much hesitation. We go to the alignment where we have to be, but you got to go. Okay, so that was bash. We'll move on here briefly to the next portion of it, which is whip, which is our weak side. Zone fire or 5-man pressure.